So the first thing is, I always teach, if you're going to read a book, if you're going to learn a philosophy, learn it, apply it. Don't just read the books and don't do anything. And so a lot of times what I used to do, I caught myself, and I'm still talking about The Secret to the Millionaire Mind. It was T. Harv Eker that helped me realize this. So I would read these books, and I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I was 12 years old, and The Secret. And so when I was young, my father used to take me to Robert Kiyosaki seminars and Donald Trump seminars, before he was president. And we had all these different views on him, and Jim Rohn, and just as many people as possible who take me to all these things. And I've been studying money for so long, yet I'd say to myself, oh man, I made $100,000 last year. But where is it? I'm pretty sure I made $100,000. What happened? Where is it? I had none. Why do we do that? Why is it that I've been reading all these books for 10, 15 years and still broke? That doesn't make sense. Why? Arrogance. As I said before, we avoid our own ignorance. Right? We take a stance in ignoring something, and then we do everything we possibly can to avoid it. So that's what happens with recipes. People who who skip the first chapter, who don't read the intro, who skip the last chapter, when a book tells you, hey, stop, do this exercise, grab a sheet of paper, and you don't do it, that's arrogance. That's absolutely what that is. And if you're not willing to take the first step, how could you possibly be willing to take the second or the third or the fourth or the fifth? You're never going to do any of them. You have to be willing to listen to someone else's recipe. And what is a recipe? So many people are like, oh, I can figure it out myself. Yeah, you can figure it out yourself. But a person spent 10,000 hours struggling, figuring it out, doing every other way to do it wrong to get the bare minimum of what it takes to be successful at this project. You're just going to throw those 10,000 hours away because you could figure it out yourself? So you're going to spend 10,000 hours on every single skill that you ever need to learn? No, spend 10,000 hours on your skills, on the ones you need, and learn everything else from other people. Be wise, have wisdom. So when you get to a recipe, right, and you get to this recipe, you can make up whatever you want after you understand it, but you can't switch out salt for baking soda and expect the recipe to work out. You just can't, right? You can't say, hey, I'm gonna make the world's best apple tree, go to an orange orchard, grab a whole bunch of oranges, make yourself an apple tree, and make yourself an apple pie and say it's the best apple pie. No, you need at least one apple. Can you get a slice of apple before you call it an apple pie? It's not an apple pie. You need at least the apple to do that, to have that recipe. This is just a universal law. And then after you understand that recipe, then you can play with it and do whatever you want. Principles don't change. Principles never change. This is a law of the universe. If something's true, it's true in everything. If it's not true in everything, it's simply not true. Form follows function. That's true in science, that's true in physics, that's true in anatomy, that's true in nutrition. If I go like this 1,000,000 times, this is gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. And if I don't do this for years, it's gonna get smaller and smaller and smaller. Form follows function. So it doesn't matter what topic we're talking about. We have these universal laws, and we have these recipes, and we have these ways of doing things. If we understand them, if we can respect a person enough to see that they already spent 10,000 hours trying to do that for you so you don't have to do that, then you get to have the benefit of standing on the shoulders of a giant, of the people before you. And so you don't need to waste time learning all these things and mastering all these things, when you can master what you need to master by adopting all these skills from other people and listening to these recipes. So I think that's really, really important. If you're not stopping to do those exercises, you're never going to make it anywhere. Period. Point blank in a story. Just because you're not willing to. You just don't want to, obviously, because you had a millionaire say, hey, why don't you do this? And you're like, yeah, I'm smarter than you. I'm smarter than that. I don't need to. I'm not an idiot. I'm not like these guys. I understand already. I know what you're talking about. I get what you're talking about. So that exercise, it's not relevant to me. It's relevant to everybody else, but it's not relevant to me. Yeah? Okay. Cool. Sit there on your couch, completely broke, trying to figure out how you're paying your bills, reading these books, and understanding why you're still broke and you got too much month at the end of the month. Go ahead. Have fun with that. So T. Harv Eker helped me realize that. He's the one that said, you know, if you're not doing my exercises, don't read my book. So he also taught the 6 bank accounts. And so I'll delve into that real quick. Are you still there?
So cut out a little bit. I don't know if you know.
I noticed that you froze, so I wanted to make sure that at least my words were getting through. What? Can't hear you. Hello? Hi. You know what I noticed? It stays recording as you cut out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Hi.
it stays recording as you cut out.
Yeah. Okay.
So was I cutting out? Were you able to hear me?
I'm able to hear you. I think what's going to happen is it'll probably record perfectly. It's just our ends of the internet. It'll be fine. Okay. I'm sure. Because I mean, all the other recordings of you and other people, they seem to turn out way better than they did on the actual video. So,
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So okay. 6 bank accounts. Right?
All right. So yeah, I'll explain the 6 bank accounts. So let me preface this with, if you have debt, you're going to do 3 bank accounts. Do not skip to the 6 bank accounts like I did first. I thought, oh, I have all this debt, but it's okay. I'll just do the 6 bank accounts. It's okay. I'm better than everyone else. I'm smarter than people. It's okay. I can do this. I was wrong. And so you're going to do 3 bank accounts first, but I'm going to explain the 6 bank accounts. So with the 6 bank accounts, it's going to be very, very hard to do at first. The first month is the hardest, the first 2 months. But if you can stay consistent, your whole life will change. The 6 bank accounts changes from your mindset from creating a budget, which is limiting, to a fund. So a budget is, I can only spend this much, this is how much money I have. And so because of that, it doesn't grow, but a fund fuels each other. Everything fuels each other. And so when you direct your money or your currency to flow in a specific way, right, then you can make things more effective for you. And you can make that river work forever. So what we're going to do is we're going to split it up in a way where they fuel each other by first splitting half of it into the things that we absolutely need, our necessities, what we call our expenses account. So we're going to do 50% in expenses. And now account is a very loose term. It can be envelopes, it can be glass jars, it could be literal bank accounts. You know, it could be pillowcases and whatever you want, doesn't matter. So as long as you're allocating your money to 6 separate places. So expenses is going to include food and hygiene and survival and rent and car and things like that, things that you absolutely need. So the second account is going to be your investments account. Now by investments, I mean active investments, investments that you're actively doing something with your money in order to make a return and make money back. Whether that is actively trading in the stock market, whether that is, you know, you're a jewelry maker, and so you need to buy supplies and you need to buy marketing, you need to buy those things. These are active investments. So that account, investments, is going to fuel all your other accounts, because by investing in things, you're going to grow all your other accounts. Every penny you make is going to be split into these 6 accounts. I don't care if it's $100 or $1 or $1 million. Every time you make money, you're going to split it between these 6. And so because of that, you have this investment account. Every time you make money, and that investment from these investments you're making, that's going to circulate back into the pot. So then the next account is going to be your education account. The education account is for any form of education for you, whether that's you know, going onto YouTube videos, I don't care, and TED Talks, going to classes, taking programs, reading books, going to seminars and workshops, doing tutorials, whatever it is. You have money allocated to that. Why? Because the more you educate yourself, the more knowledge you have, the more philosophies you have, the less risk you have, and the more money you can make, the more skills you have, the more things you can do, the more things you attract to yourself. So just by educating yourself, you become worth more in so many ways, in a self way, in a financial way, in a spiritual way, in a psychological way. And so education is going to fuel all the other accounts. Your next account is called your fun account. What's the point in a fun account? So fun account is very, very important. Why do we have a fun account? It's because nothing sucks worse than working your butt off all day, every day, and then going to have fun, spending $20, and then feeling guilty for spending $20. Why? I worked for that $20. Why do I have to feel guilty for spending the money that I just made? That's such a horrible feeling, isn't it? To feel guilty about that money you just spent. That's one. The second is, how does it feel to feel like you're only living to work? You don't want to feel like you're working more than you're enjoying your time, more than you're enjoying yourself. And so by having money allocated to that, specifically to enjoying yourself, it reduces the burden of work for you, and it makes work more enjoyable. This fuels all the other accounts as well. So you become more manageable with your fun account, and you start deciding how you're going to plan out your fun and what you're going to do. And also you get to be loose with it and use it in different ways. And so it becomes a really, really powerful thing, and it keeps you motivated, it keeps you going and inspired, and fuels every other account. Okay. The next account is going to be your giving account. And so your giving account, once again, is going to be 10%. And that 10% giving, it can be for anything. I don't care if you're giving it to the homeless, or buying things, buying guitars and giving it to people, traveling to other countries and doing work. It doesn't matter. Just make sure to take this money and give. You can only receive what you give. And it's just nice that no need to do it to receive anything, please. So otherwise, that's doing good karma for good karma is bad karma. It's just as much of a sin to do things to not get in trouble as it is to do things to get in trouble, so just do it to do it. But of course there is the benefit of that universal law that you can only receive what you give. So if you give love, you'll receive love. And it might not come back in money. Don't expect, oh my God, it's going to come back in money. No, it might come back in opportunities. It might come back in time well spent, and it might come back in meetings that you didn't expect, and new clients and new customers. So many different ways it can come back, and come back in family and new friendships in so many different ways. So that fuels all the other accounts as well, by giving to others and by giving to others. And then the last account is going to be 10% again for your financial freedom account, which is once again an investment account, or what you called it, which I liked, Bria, which was also known as a retirement account. So why do we call it a financial freedom account? It's because you're going to spend this account to make yourself financially free. How does it feel to know that you get to spend money to make yourself financially free? Usually, so I got to save money to make yourself financially free. No, you're going to spend money to make yourself financially free. So you're going to take this money and you're not going to spend it. You have to pay yourself first. This is such an important rule. You have to pay yourself first, and I'll give you a metaphor for this afterwards, about wine casks. But when you pay yourself first, right, before you pay your bills, before you do anything, you put it in this account. And when I say pay yourself, I don't mean buy yourself food and buy yourself clothes and buy yourself things that you think you need. That's what your expenses are for. Pay yourself. Me as a human being, Matthew Morales, has money in this account specifically for Matthew Morales. And what it does is it attracts more of itself, attracts like attracts like. And so by me having money in this account grows my self-worth and my financial worth. Just by having $10,000 in this account, I'm going to think to myself, well, I'm worth at least $10,000. And so I'm going to know how to judge work and opportunities and say, well, that's not worth my time. I'm worth at least $10,000. So then you have $20,000. You're going to say, well, I have $20,000 in my account. I'm worth at least $20,000. So now you're really worth $40,000. You have $100,000 in your account. You're like, well, I'm worth at least $100,000. So now you're worth really $200,000. It grows, and it self-perpetuates. By you having it and not spending it, the universe gives you more. God gives you more of what you hold on to. But this is, once again, not a savings account in which it sits there. You're putting it somewhere in which it grows. This is your passive investment account. You give it to a professional stockbroker. You loan it to a loaning company, right? At an interest rate. Putting money somewhere in which it's going to grow, but you don't need to pay attention to it. And so it's passively making you money while you sleep, because as Warren Buffett says, until you learn how to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. So finding a way to do that is with this financial freedom account. Now, this is what's important about this account. You haven't eaten in 3 days and you have $1,000 in this account. don't touch it. Your kids are hungry, and some people might get angry about this, but your kids are starving. They haven't eaten 3-4 days. You have $2,000 in this account. Don't touch it. If you can't pay rent and you have more than enough money to pay rent in this account, don't touch it. Pay yourself. This is to pay yourself. And if you're smart enough to keep paying yourself first, everything else will grow. And I'll show you with an analogy or a parable that I like to tell. Imagine you walk into this room, and inside this room you see a room full of wine casks, those old school wooden or giant, wooden barrels. And you're filling the room, touching brim to brim. And now you have this picture, this picture of infinite potential, infinite money, infinite wisdom, infinite creation, infinite love, infinite, all the good things, right? And you take this picture and you have this cask and it represents you, and you're pouring it inside of your own, right? And you're like, oh, you know what? I have to take care of my mom. Hold on, let me pour some in hers. I need to take care of my sister. I need to take care of my brother. Let me put it in theirs. I need to take care of my friends. I need to take care of my teacher. Hold on, let me help this homeless person. So you're filling everybody's cask and you're like, oh, wait, I need to fill myself. Hold on, my cousin Ricky. Hold on, what, my dog. Is your barrel ever going to get full? No, absolutely. But what if I took this picture of love and abundance and wealth and I poured it in my barrel, and I just kept pouring, and I just kept pouring, and I just kept pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring? What'll happen? It'll overflow. And I keep pouring and I pouring and I pour and pouring and pouring. What happens? It fills and it fills and fills, and it fills every single barrel it touches. This is the key. You pay yourself first. You take care of yourself, and that fills every barrel next to you. But now suppose this picture is filled with self-hate and doubt and skepticism and anger, and you're pouring it in your barrel, and you're pouring it in your barrel, and you're pouring it in your barrel, and you're pouring it in your barrel. The same thing happens. So we need to be careful of what we're putting in our barrel. We need to pay ourselves first, and we need to not take it from this barrel. We need to let it fill and overflow and overflow. This is true empathy, not sympathy. So many people call themselves empaths. The moment someone calls themselves an empath, I'm 98% positive they're talking about sympathy. And they confuse sympathy for empathy, right? So we have to be aware of intentions. We were talking about intentions earlier, and our bank accounts and all this stuff. So here's a great example. When we go on an airplane and the masks come down, we are taught to put the mask on yourself before your child. Pay yourself first. Why? By putting it on the child first, you're not having empathy, you're having sympathy. We're not being selfless, we're being selfish. People confuse selfless and selfish all the time. Being extremely selfish. Why? It's like, well, that's not a logical conclusion. Of course it is. Because the question is, why did we put it on them first? If I put it on myself first, I can take care of myself, and I can take care of them, and I can take care of others. I put it on them first, not because I wanted them to live, as much as I didn't want myself to live and them not live. I couldn't be able to live with myself if that person didn't live. So it was still a selfish act. It was about how I would feel if that person died. And I didn't. It was a selfish act. It wasn't never about that person, but about how you would feel about the situation afterwards. That's selfishness. Empathy, true empathy, has compassion. And the decisions affect everyone in a way that grows them and helps everyone. This is what happens when we pay ourselves first. Do not cheat yourself and steal from your financial freedom account. Do not cheat yourself and steal from these accounts. Do not move from different accounts. Oh, it's okay if I put it from here, I put it from there, and blah, blah. No, just make it work. Make it work. You have to pay yourself first. You have to follow these rules. You have to make your money work for you in a certain way. This is what the wealthy do. It's very easy to do. right? Jim Rohn's favorite line, it's very easy to do, but it's just as easy not to do. That's why people haven't done it.